You can support this show at patreon.com/ASA podcasting.
The wasteland is a post-apocalyptic mess as the sole survivor wanders out about to see the rest. Nuclear explosions sending out the gamma rays from deep within the core, frozen atomic waste. From deep within the core, frozen atomic waste.
Hello and welcome to the 514th edition of the Fallout Feed. I am Andrew, joined by a flock of my favorite Fallout folks. Tonight, I've got Jess. What's up, Jess?
Hey, Andrew. Greets everybody melting out there.
And also Ray. What's up, Ray?
Hello, hello.
Are you melting, Ray?
Getting ready to.
Yeah, we're getting
Haven't
ready.
yet.
It was only 90 today. It's supposed to be 114 tomorrow, so...
The humidity is coming in. I've got friends in the UK who can melt it at the home. Apparently, and some people can corroborate this, a lot of people in the UK do not have air conditioning. They say they're not hot long enough, their homes aren't built for it, and so they just swelter in the heat, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people in California don't have air conditioning either, just... the
Or
coastal-
Oregon or Washington.
That's true. I assume a lot of the northern US doesn't. In Maine, it was actually not that common, though we're babies. We're babies about heat. We'd rather be cold than hot up there, so we did some. Here in New York, people definitely do. But yeah, I'm sweltering. It is moist. It is damp. It is...
It just sucks to do anything outside right now.
It does. Outside or in the top half of the house. If you have 2 floors, stay on the bottom. Better yet, be a basement dweller. Game down
I
there.
am in my basement constantly in the summer.
Yeah, I pretty much don't leave my house from Memorial Day until Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Exactly.
George is the surface of the sun this time of year.
It's got to be. And with the humidity that's coming in, it's going to be downright swampy.
Oh, we've been humid. We've had rain almost every day, the afternoon thunder showers, because it's just so humid.
It's crazy. It's like 4:00, time for the thunderstorm. It's like-
Yeah. Literally dampened my enjoyment of anything. I do not want to leave the house. Staying inside. I mean, I prefer that anyway, most of the time. But I don't know. It was good weather is exciting for the first couple weeks of summer. And now, it's actually midsummer now. So happy summer, people. Like, isn't this officially start of summer this year?
midsummer. Yeah, it's today. Yeah.
Today.
Today is the beginning of summer. It just feels like it's been summer for 2 months already.
Another excuse to stay in a game. And yeah, it does.
Woohoo! Get inside and game. All right. So let's see. Did you guys get a chance to play any video games this week, Ray? Did you get a chance to play anything?
I have. Certainly still a bulk of my time is spent on the Paludarium, but
Yeah. Let's touch base on that. What you said, the foam is done. You got your mossy substrate stuff. I forget what it's called. The cocoa husk. What was it?
Yeah, cocoa fiber.
Cocoa fiber. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
And the
you got
hygralon,
done.
which is the water wicking fabric. So moss grows on that.
But it like makes sure moisture goes away or something.
No, it wicks it up.
Wicks it
So
up.
it'll take water out of the water section of the Paludarium and transfer
and
it up.
brings it up into the land area.
Yeah, so that's how moisture wicking
see.
fabric works. It pulls the moisture off your skin by kind of pulling it out. And so same here, but different.
I hate that shit. The moisture wicking fabric, I don't know why. It just feels like it's grabbing me. You ever had that sensation, like the Under Armour or whatever it is? That like sort of spandexy sort of like, I hate that shit.
Like Under Armour isn't bad, but some of it does. When it gets wet, it's like wearing a wet towel everywhere. And yeah. Wait, we're back on this. I thought we were talking games now.
How do you wick moisture in the wasteland?
Wick me. Wick it good.
But so I've got my roots in,
Put your root down.
and today Amazon delivered a box of rocks. So
I got a rock. So roots of what sort of plant?
well, so it looks like the roots of a tree that have grown into the riverbank.
Oh, like those big, what are those called?
Mangrove. You can get cypress knees if you've got a big tank. Those look pretty cool.
Trees like in the mire, big old roots and vines.
Yeah. But this is just more like a mangrove. It gives, babies places to hide, crabs places to go, and all that good stuff. So now the next thing is to get it moved. Well, first I need to do a water test, make sure it's still not leaking, and then I'll move it into the house.
Is there a way to do the water test without putting, tons
Water
of
in it?
water in it?
No. Pretty much requires water to do a water test.
Wish it was easier.
Yeah. It's not that bad. So we're getting real close. The land section will go together pretty quickly, but it's definitely looking like something. I posted my latest picture in the Discord, and it should come along quickly from there. Get plants put in and all that good stuff.
Do the birdship frogs and the little geckos and all of their compadres get moved? Is this a replacement of or an addition?
It'll be a replacement of the one they're currently in. So they'll move to temporary housing at some point, because it does take a little bit of time to get everything settled in. And then they'll move back. It'll be all grand and glorious.
People wondering what this might have to do with Fallout. Well, when you're fishing in Fallout, the number one thing we want for our camps right now is a place to have our axolotls. Get our little rad toad babies, axolotls, all them fishes, give a place to swim in our camp. And yeah, we need paludariums. That's really what it needs to be called if they add it.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah. So I did dust off my highest ranking character in Fallout 76.
Whoa,
in 76?
What are you doing? Oh, you're fishing. You go fishing?
And this character is the one that has the underground camp at the White Spring.
Oh, fun.
And so one of the ways that you can exit this camp is to, walk up to the platform level and then swim out.
Yes, into the water behind that shack there. Nice.
It's built right at the edge of that water. And so you can just walk out and swim right into that pond.
So you tried sideways underground fishing?
I did. It's pretty hilarious, because you cast it and the animation does the same as if you're above ground. So the bobber goes down and then slowly floats to the top before it starts doing its little bobber animation. It was pretty funny. So
it's less fishing and more flying a fish kite or something.
So yeah, I found it pretty frustrating.
The mini game. Did you get the zone? Where
so
you
it figured
opposite, like I was.
I finally figured out that a couple of things. One is that the bobber moves in the direction that the fish is going, so you can follow that a little bit. It goes under the water. It goes in the direction that the fish is. I at least have the idea of which side I'm going to be leaning towards. Then the other thing that was giving me the most trouble is that little solid dot that appears inside the wedge. If if you're dumb like me and pull it as close to you as possible, then the wedge reacts wildly to any movements you make. And so you're constantly over adjusting everything. If you slide that little dot all the way out to the far edge, now it makes very small changes to the movement of the wedge, and you can control it much better.
So you're doing it with a mouse.
I'm doing it with a mouse, yeah.
And so I'm
slapping myself in the head.
Yeah, that is different for us. So first of all, the fact that the bobber moves the way that the fish is going to start, I don't think that works on Xbox, but some people say it does. But on PC, it definitely seems to happen, that you can see the fish pull the direction the fish is going to start. But with a controller, it's a little bit easier to swirl in a circle. So anyway, you start and you find your wedge to the fish. And are you fighting it too hard? What's happening?
Well, I mean, for most of the time, I was making it hard on myself because I had the dot too far back. And so my wedge was flying wildly one direction and the other. And so it was like, it was so hard to control.
Okay.
Once I figured out that if you slide that dot all the way to the outside ring, the movement was much more controlled.
It sounds like a
because
very different experience because on Xbox it's completely with the thumbstick, so the radial makes sense. If with a mouse you're just moving around and actually moves that fast with it, yeah, that would be difficult.
Yeah. So I still only catch the smallest fish
But you'll get there. So
or doll heads.
So you met the captain and the fish, and you got your rod. You did the first 3, turned it in. Did you do? And then you did the next 7 they gave you, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've done 2 of the dailies.
Okay.
And one of the challenges. So I've got the Mark 1 reel.
And you have installed that at the Tinker's Bench. Okay, good.
And I've got the shiny hook or whatever it is. But at this point, so because I'm so far removed from the game, I don't have any weather control stuff.
Right.
So I can't make it rain anywhere.
Yeah, you have to go to other people's camps and play with other people ready to get rain.
But at this point, I've done it.
Yeah.
It wasn't boring.
It wasn't water torture. It was better than that.
So if I'm ever at a point where I'm not having fun doing any other game, I might come back and do some more fishing.
Fishing, the game of last resort. I'm glad you tried it, though. Good on you.
But yeah, it was interesting getting back into 76 and then trying to remember where stuff is. For the life of me, I couldn't remember where the Toxic Valley was.
Go to the Toxic Valley to fish. You're like, where the hell is that?
So it's all good.
I'm glad you tried it. I'm glad you were compelled enough by our exciting fish tales.
Yeah.
At least check it out.
And it was really, if you say interloper, I mean, you get my attention.
Right. You're like, okay, there's a connection here. And there is. Did you end up watching that video I mentioned with from Epic Me? No, okay.
No. But I'm always up for a little interloper.
They do. They definitely need to flesh it out. I mean, not literally, but
So most of my game time was spent trying to figure out another game, which is very elusive, which is the minor arrays in Watchtower. So I was going through the Watchtower quest, and it was definitely hard to get. I was able to kill the Watchtower people, but it was hard to do. It took a long time, a lot of bullets.
Mm-hmm.
And then it told me to go eliminate this array, and so I did, and that wasn't too bad. I've got a really good ship. I'm level 24 now, so I've got a pretty substantial fighting ship.
Right, and so this is your Starfield Watchtower character playthrough.
Yeah, but when I went to do my first alpha array, it was like maybe 20, 25 enemy ships against me and my one still reluctant hanger-on.
I imagine they expect you to keep adding and have a larger fleet by the time you take on the arrays, right?
Well, but also you're supposed to find the minor arrays.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And take them out so that there's less support at the major array.
Yeah.
And so I set out to try to find the minor arrays. And I did come across the post from King Gath that evidently there is a limitation in the engine and its ability to branch quests. And so they aren't able to make the minor arrays linked to the major arrays. You have to actually go and just attack a bunch of Watchtower, listening posts on planets,
and that will help you find where the minor arrays are.
Yeah, try to find the locations of the minor arrays. So at that point, if I decided if I'm going to have to do more of these listening posts, then I need to beef up my arsenal.
That makes sense.
And so I went and and did all the research to upgrade my guns, and I got advanced weapons for all of the different weapon types that I'm using. And so now I'm ready to dig in and really start plowing through these. The missiles that you can drop from space, that's all pretty cool, except that it has to be a direct hit on the mechs, or it won't damage them, and they don't stand still.
But it does sound like a pretty complicated part of the mod.
Yeah, and it's designed for higher level characters than I am.
Don't they know that even getting to 24 is a kind of high level for Ray? You usually stop by 18 to 20.
Yeah, well, I'm usually maxed out by that point, and I'm pretty close now. I've got a pretty good arsenal. I farmed up a nice hard target and a big bang today, and got those maxed out. So those have got some punch. One thing I did learn that I don't know how I didn't realize this before, but the Vanguard auto projectors, those are both an energy weapon and a particle beam weapon.
They're really? I thought they were just particle beam. I've always treated them as particle.
Yeah, I took both skills, particle beam and energy weapon, and they both leveled up together with every kill.
Wow. Okay. Just one more reason to use them.
Yeah. I mean, they're so good because you get a full battery of shots, even if you only have one power applied to them. So I've got 6 of them on my ship, and I apply one power to them. And then I've got some PB100s that are my constant fire weapons that I apply more power to. And the combination of the two are pretty deadly, but not enough to take out, 25 ships at once.
I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. We were impressed when it got our ships to the point where we can handle 4 other ships, no problem. More than 4 in combat, and I have trouble for sure. So 25, yeah, rough.
Yeah. So but I've craved a good
challenge,
challenge in Starfield. So now I've got it. So it takes a while to get all this kind of stuff set up. So I had to go ahead and do the outpost thing so I can make a lot of bullets. So I've got lead coming in from one place and vanadium because, 50 caliber for whatever reason requires vanadium. So I've got a farm for that. And
I don't even know what that is. I think it's in my multivitamin.
Yeah. But so gotta love it.
Awesome.
It's hard to beat Starfield.
I'm glad. I mean, that has kind of been your major game home outside of Roundtables and No Man's Sky the last coming up on 2 years now.
Well,
we're just 3 months shy of 2 years at this point.
Good times.
Indeed. Can't wait to find out what's next. Please, somebody tell us.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be at the next Xbox whatnot.
Gotta be at Gamescom. I swear. It's funny. Leading up to not E3, I was saying if it's not there, people will riot. Well, it wasn't there. And some people did riot. So hopefully we find out soon. Take all the time you need, but people just like to know. Sometimes communication is good. Communication is good, Bethesda. I mean, you get 20 articles out of hey, we're working on big things. One tweet in March.
Yeah.
We need to know. Speaking of No Man's Sky, have you been playing any of that?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Definitely, filling out my settlements and upgrading them. I started a new character that went, directly from the starting planet to one of the other planets in the same system. So this character hadn't even left the star system that they started in before they had their first settlement. Normally, the settlement kind of starter, you get a little radio call from somebody in distress after your 10th warp. But if you buy a map, you can find a settlement after you've only just gone to the space station once.
Excellent.
So definitely had to try that out. Worked out great. And, now I'm struggling through that because I don't have any resources or anything because I haven't been anywhere. But that's been what I've been doing.
Sweet. How about you, Jess? What you been getting into this week?
Well, I've been doing the same things as Ray, minus the Starfield and the No Man's Sky, because I'm all about those fish.
How's your paludarium coming?
So I don't have a paludarium, but I did build a special underground fishing grotto, which I actually brought a couple of our friends by the other day. Last Sunday, I had Rando and Solior and a few friends come in. So I mentioned you could fish underground. I'd done it previously at my theater camp, but now I was checking around the new area, around the cool lake where Fisherman's Rest is, because there are docks to the north of it and docks to the south of it, and you can build on those docks. Like, you can include them in your camp radius. A lot of times you can't build close enough to a named location like Fisherman's Rest. You're like, oh, you try to put your camp, you can't, but you actually can. So if you're looking for a place to build, it's going to be claimed a lot when you hop on a server because people are using it, but you can build there. But what's even better for me is that if you build there, I like the south side by the beavers, by the way. Looking for the beavers, they're just kind of southeast. They're on the southeast side, big old beaver dam. You can put your back porch right there. It's adorable. But I built underground there, and there's a cool underground lake near the actual Fisherman's Rest Lake. So you go underground from there, you go down through the rocks, and there's a whole, it's a pretty vast underground lake. I mean, it's not quite, what's the area in Skyrim? Blackreach? Is that it, right? The underground mushroom
yeah.
kingdom?
Yeah.
It's not quite Blackreach, but it's actually pretty cool. It's got plants coming down and a huge wide open lake. It's all dark and spooky. So I found this area. So I built a little camp there with some glowing balls and, you know, a nice fishing area set up and had some people over fishing. So that is my special fishing grotto. What's cool about the underground lake, though, is that you can fish into the wall, like we're talking about, the silly underground fishing, but you can actually do real underground fishing into that lake. There we go. Someone just put some pictures down there. You can see me praying for fish underground. And yeah, it's just this whole huge open grotto. It's kind of fun. So that's one thing I worked on. I did not fish as much this week as the first week. So I was telling Andrew pre-show that the second week of fishing, it's been fun to watch. So everybody got into fishing. We've all been talking about it. It's dominating the Fallout conversation, 76 conversation at least. That first week, everyone was trying. So this week, I have seen people hitting that point where, just like the second week of Fashnacht, they're like, I'm never going to get that rare fish. And they're starting to grumble about it and put down their rods and go back to doing events and such, because like I was having trouble getting to that Mark II reel. And there's a bit of a conundrum. There's a meme going around for the last week. I think, yeah, Brendan and Andon just shared it in our Discord the other day. But the meme goes, I need to catch fish to upgrade my fishing rod, but I can't upgrade my fishing rod without catching specific fish, but I can't catch those fish with my current rod. And it's got a picture of Miyazaki all like, oh, glasses off and upset. And that is kind of the conundrum, you know, that you need to get a better rod to catch the harder fish, but you need to catch a couple of those fish, just a few, but you need to catch them to get the rod. And it's a combination of, they're harder to reel in, like Ray's talking about there with the mouse. But even once you get pretty good control over your fishing reel, some of those fish still move pretty fast and they can be hard to pull in. So you need the upgraded line strength and the larger wedge or the faster speed or what have you to get them. So I understand, but if you try to fish in the rain or a nuke zone, you stick with it. Don't grind it out. Like, fishing shouldn't be 20 hours a week. I mean, it can be if you want, of course, but people were doing it like Fashnacht. You know what I mean? And you can't AFK fishing. So you're going to burn out a little quicker. So I was trying to watch Twitch a couple times this past week while fishing or doing other things. And I'd stop and I'd try to chat. And meanwhile, the fish grabs my bait and runs off. And I'm just sitting there cast again. So you can't take your hands off the controller when you're fishing. I lost a lot of fish that way this week. But long story short, people are starting to hit that point where some of them are giving up on a little, but I hope, start treating casual and everyone will get there. Because once you get that Mark II or Mark III reel, once you get a good mod from the dailies, and big shout out to the guys as well for helping me gave me some of the mods I wasn't getting because the dailies were not paying off for me. I have every version of like seaweed covered, fishing net covered, drowned furniture you could want now. I'm getting all the other plans. I can make fish and potatoes. I can make fish chowder. Anything you want, but I was never getting them on. So now I've got the good ones and that's helping. So I fished probably 3 days this week. A bit like I was talking about the Underground Grotto. I've done the dailies 2 or 3 times. I think I'm probably up to rank 58 to 60 on the scoreboard. So pretty far, but not quite what I was.
Motoring, dude.
I am motoring. Yeah. It's when you're in the game and you've got that drive, and I've definitely got that drive with fishing. It was really pushing me forward. But this week I had to work on stuff for the play prep because Wasteland Theater Company, I mentioned over the last couple of weeks, our next play is coming up. It's actually going to be this Sunday. By the time you guys hear this, it'll actually have already happened because we're a week behind right now. But it's this Sunday coming up. And so, especially the past week, I've been on PlayStation a bit more. But I was trying to just do play stuff. No, I'm fishing on PlayStation now too, y'all. I'm a lost cause. I have not yet fished on PC, but I'm not grinding it like I did on Xbox. But yeah, so I fished on PlayStation, played there a bit, getting ready for the play. The other things I've been doing has kind of been just getting B-roll footage for various things. I always like to have footage for the titles and the credits and various things. So I've done a little bit building up some scenes, doing that. So been in 76 a lot, but rather than grinding out, getting my dailies and weeklies done like I had been, I haven't hit the weeklies for this week yet. But that's what I'm doing in 76, playing on PlayStation, still doing the fish, and thanks to the guys for helping me. And that's about it. That's all my gaming this week. I hardly touched Oblivion, and while I've downloaded some new things, I haven't played them.
Tell me about play prep real quick.
Well, there's a bit to it. I mean, in-game, of course, we always do our plays in-game. And Thor is our set builder. So, that's at the camp. And so the actual, prep for the show is simply, rehearsing every Sunday like we do, running through the script, everybody getting their blocking, just like a regular play. Learn the lines, how to switch sets, which we do in the camp. But then the additional play prep is, I'm usually there for some of the rehearsals, but the last 3-4 weeks before the show, I get in there every Sunday and I start writing down cues because I'm going to be the camera for it. I need to know where the camera needs to look, when to zoom in, zoom out if that's necessary, but also switching scenes, any sound cues, stuff like that. And then I make sure everything's set up that I can stream it properly. Because in order to capture the sound from in-game and the PlayStation Party, it's a little different setup than normal streaming with the whole cast and such. And the rest of the prep is the technology side, dealing with my OBS, setting up special scenes and previews and stuff to work.
How do you do lighting and gels and spotlights and stuff?
So some of our plays, we've gotten pretty in depth with that. I know a lot of people listening have probably seen one or two, at least I hope you have. And some of them we actually set up banks of 3 or 4 lights. So you've got your stage lights for the proscenium, front stage area. You've got stage right, stage left, center, full stage, stuff like that. And we actually did wiring on them. So in the past, Spooky, our friend Spooky Funeral, has been the player who's our lighting tech. And he will actually physically, just like a lighting tech in a theater, hit the switches and change the lights for each scene.
Got a gaffer? Who's your gaffer?
He's also the gaffer. He's been our pyrotechnics expert, deals with the explosions and the lighting.
That's amazing.
And the gaffing. This one, though, for this show, we only have 2 lighting cues, 2 different settings. Essentially, no lights, all lights, and red lights. It's a pretty simple one. So Thor, who does our sets, is trying to flip that in between scenes, and when she can't, one of the actors is trying to get them. Also, for the sound cues, a lot of times we do our sound live in the game too. So someone will sit the drums and play. They'll play the drums, they'll play the piano, they'll do this and that for the sound cues. And then obviously for the YouTube version of the play, I add more. But in the actual live version, I've actually pre-recorded the gong and the drums and the trumpet and stuff like that. So I'll actually be kind of playing it myself. So I got to get all that set up.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It's an adventure.
You have like those guys who do the cartoons, you've got all the weird box of things to make noises with on the side, and you get to do all that.
The Foley sound guys.
Exactly. I mean, it totally is Foley. So when I do the YouTube versions, I add music under some scenes. Foley is so important to video and a bit in plays. But when a sword hits somebody or they get whacked with a big old super sledge, it doesn't really make that loud of a noise in the game. But you need to feel that impact. So I like to add Foley for that. Yeah. But as far as during the show, no, I'm not turning on my mic and grabbing the maracas. Well, now I really want to.
Yeah.
I have shakers.
Really coconut shell horse trotting.
That's perfect. That's perfect. My kingdom for a horse. Grab the coconuts. So I'm looking forward to it. That'll be a good weekend. Oh, so we got ghoul fights with the Gato too. Remember we did those the first time a couple weeks ago on Xbox. We're going to do PC this weekend.
Sweet.
Got to take care of ghouls everywhere. Make them duke it out.
Full opportunity.
It's funny. As much fun as they are, it feels a little bit like bum fights. Like, I feel like we're taking advantage of the ghouls. We're like, fight for my entertainment, ghoul. Are you not entertained?
They have feelings, Jess.
I know they do, but hey, it's all voluntary. 100% voluntary. All the Mountain Don't cake you want. They're in chat talking about slime cake right now. So all the Mountain Don't cake you might want for the winner.
It's mine. All mine.
But that's it. We are a little low on the gameplay this week. How about you, Andrew? Did you keep the faith for us? Did you get in and play with your Fallout Shelter towers still?
Sort of tons of games. No, I played one game. It was Fallout Shelter, and I basically got my tower project back up and running to where it was before the big disaster. That must have been 2 weekends ago. So God, I guess it took about 2 weeks then to get back up from 4 to 40 dwellers again. So, whew.
The Fallout Feed account on Twitter has been hounding Bethesda recently, by the way, asking Bethesda, hey, when are we going to get some of these great rewards for the 10th anniversary on Xbox?
Fuck yeah, man. Who's doing that? Is that you?
I did that for you. Yeah, did that for you this time.
Thank you. Appreciate it, of course. So, I'm just learning, and it's really setting in. Like, if I want a challenge in Fallout Shelter, this is the stupid way to do it. It's really, there is no efficiency. There's no boosting anything and getting perks and like extra. It's like you scrimp and save for every last little morsel of electricity and water and food, and people are pissed off most of the time. I finally got my happiness back up over the 75% barrier where it goes from yellow back to green. So like kind of relief, but that also means that Deathclaw attacks are right around the corner too. And
right.
One thing, I mean, besides one of the big differences between mobile and Xbox is those daily watch a video, get a free chance at a lunchbox. Oh, I've gotten absolutely fucking nothing from lunchboxes this whole time. I don't know how long I've been doing this towers thing, a month at least. And the most damage I can do is 6 with a weapon. Like the raiders, when they come and they die, they drop either an outfit or a pistol of some kind that you just a BB gun,
So nothing special, no real upgrades.
Like terrible. So I'm still like, two of the main things that can break a shelter session wide open and just sort of make it easy altogether is getting Mr. Handy and automating your stuff and getting lucky and getting a good weapon from a lunchbox. So you get a rocket launcher from a lunchbox and you're like only have 7 or 8 rooms, you're still that early in the game, then you really don't have to worry about like raider attacks and stuff. You can just park someone up in the entryway, the vault door, with that 20 damage rocket launcher.
I love it. Yeah, that's what I always do. Get him a really good weapon up there, some decent armor. 2 of them.
I'm getting toasted by my fucking lunchboxes, man. That nothing. It's just like, oh, you get a shotgun. Like,
all the good lunchboxes were opened in the first 100 years post APOC.
I guess.
Sorry.
Yeah, they've been picked over. Obviously been picked over.
You're down to the scraps.
Lunchboxes. They're giving me cards with water, which is appreciated. Everyone needs water. And one stim pack. I'm like, okay, that, maybe 3 would be nice. And like they never give me any of the bottles. I love the little the Quanta bottles because you can train people faster. You can rush their training, which is always super helpful. But anyway, it's finally nice to be sort of back to where I was before. But it was a struggle there for a couple of weeks. But what it really reminded me is that I kept resisting moving the trained people up into the production rooms until
they were hitting their mat.
100% trained. Like I was like, oh, they're at 8. They would be so good now. I can move. No, don't move them yet. So like,
but sometimes you gotta. Are you going to try it differently? Are you going to step up now instead? Like step?
It just reminds me of like, everyone's moving up a level. Moving on up to the east side. To the deluxe apartment in the sky, everybody.
The deluxe Nuka-Cola cafe in the sky.
Oh, yes. But it just reminds me of that time after high school and college when you guys are all young and hopeful and we don't really have quite the job, but we're doing studying, going to night school, and you're putting in your dues and everything and earning it, and then it finally pays off eventually. You know what I mean? It just boom. You're like, can't wait. Can't wait for life to pay off, right?
You know what else would break your game wide open? Get this. If the Mr. Handies could move vertically and not horizontally.
That I don't think they do that. I was thinking, man, I'm gonna do stair steps next, where it's just gonna go like back and forth across,
Like zigzag.
zigzag
Like,
across.
look at you trying to survival mode, challenge run, everything.
I am just trying to make it as hard as myself as possible. How many ways can I have tear my hair out in Fallout Shelter? So we got a couple of new pups this week. So I didn't get a lot of video game time playing in. We were hanging out with the new dogs a little bit. So we got two new little pups. One is a Pomeranian and the other one is a Pomeranian Chihuahua mix. But one's a silly fluff ball and the other is like a little psychopath. So
Do they trade roles though, or is one of them always the psycho?
it depends on the day so far, it seems. I don't know.
That's great. How old are they?
They didn't really know at the shelter, so they're between 1 and 3 each of them. So we'll take them to the vet, and the vet usually has a better idea. They can guesstimate based on like what tooth color and stuff like that. I don't know how they.
Definitely adorable. And are they a Chihuahua Pomeranian mix or?
Yeah, one of them is, and the other one's a Pomeranian.
Oh, cute.
But I saw one on the Pet Finder or whatever, and I was like, oh, it's up in Anderson, Indiana. That's only, half hour away. So I was like, oh, we'll check them out, set up an appointment. And then I was like, well, here's a link to see what else is in the shelter there with her. So I was booping around in there, and I said, oh, here's another little guy. So like there's it's really unfortunate, but there's just tons of big dogs in shelters, and little dogs just go a lot more quickly out of there. So it's harder to find small breeds. I just happened to see this other little guy that had like this really buck tooth, weird little weird smile. I was like, oh man, he's a little
underbite.
weirdo, a little underbite weirdo. What's going on here? So I was like, oh, he looks pretty cute too. So I decided like, oh well, let's pull them both out when we get there. And they weren't like bonded or paired or anything.
Okay, so they didn't know each other
before. No, not at all. We brought them home. They're best friends. They're all over each other, running around, wrestling.
That's why I thought they might even be the same litter, but with a Chai Pom mix. And so yeah, they look great.
Yeah, they're good buddies, and they're semi sort of like house trained already, which makes it a lot easier than starting from scratch.
Thank
know
goodness,
what I mean?
yes.
Yeah. So we're hitting that hard and doing the training. My wife got, oh, she's so into it. She got those little talking floor buttons for your dog, so they can like hit a button and say like playtime or like food, or like I don't know. You can record these buttons to say whatever you want.
Really? She's trying. She's trying to do the rat test with the dogs, getting them to like push buttons for their.
Exactly. Yes. Getting them to communicate via little buttons on the floor.
Our little Chiweenie would just stand there and push food.
Like eventually we're gonna shock you. All right. So alas, new pups in the house. Not as much video game time this week, but I do plan on improving my like fishing reel and that sort of stuff. I have had an inkling to get back into Starfield a little bit, do some more settlement exploration building with that. Just still feel like I need to flesh that out more.
And like I've said, it really is the least finished of the systems, or least compelling of the systems in Starfield. It's got its good points, but it's more about those, like the provisioners. Ray, what do you call those landing pads you make? I just forgot the name of them.
Intersystem landing pad?
I'm wondering if instead of, my newer character, which is lower level, I should just go back to my old character and try to find a save file that's before I did the, what's it called? When you flip over the end game
The Unity.
Yeah, before
When you go into New Game Plus. Yep.
where you hit the Unity into New Game Plus. I'll see if I have a save file from back then, and that'll be a
Perfect place to start.
all sorts of shit. So I need like the save right before I go into the Unity.
I see. If you want to get your collected resources. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that was back when I didn't know what anything did, and I was just picking everything up.
That's not a bad move.
I've got lots. It might not. Most of it's probably not useful, but I got it.
There are new people trying Starfield every day. Like our buddy Keith. Keith, he's done roundtables and such in the past. He finally picked up Starfield a couple weeks ago. And so he's asking, what do I keep? What do I not keep? And I'm like,
nothing.
It is not. Fallout 4 and 76 are the only games in Bethesda where we really needed the junk for things and all be scrapped and became resources you could build with. In the previous games, Skyrim, Fallout 3 even, there was some crafting, but it wasn't pick up everything. But that hoarder got into us so deep with Fallout 4. I mean, obviously, the three of us, we're Fallout players. It's so deep into us. And in Starfield, if it's a piece of junk, you don't need it. You only need resources. And you can tell the difference when you open your inventory. Stuff in miscellaneous is junk. Stuff in resources is resources. Two different categories. So coffee mugs, duct tape. You can't do anything with them. Duct tape. Every time I find duct tape in Starfield, still I pick it up. And then every time I kick myself, why did I do that?
I refuse to believe that duct tape is not useful somehow.
Right?
It is the most useful substance on Earth, isn't it?
The only problem it solves is having an empty inventory.
It just gives you weight.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, thankfully there's a mod for that.
There's a mod for everything. What does it just make it weightless, or does it actually make it useful somehow?
It makes it useful.
You can scrap stuff down, right?
Yep.
Does it give you adhesive or something?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, adhesive and fiber.
I'm gonna say, and some sort of paper money or something.
Does that mod bring in basically the Fallout 4 system a bit, where you can scrap down a lot of your junk?
No, it's just for the duct tape.
Just for the duct tape. Let's focus on what's important. That's perfect.
Why not go through all the junk?
Yeah. One of the mods, it might even be Darkstar. I don't remember. One of the mods that I ran, it did make all junk useful. You could make stuff with. Like if you wanted to build something, you had to have a screwdriver and a wrench and a hammer in order to craft an item. And stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a point where sometimes realism can be fun and sometimes realism can be too much. You always got to find that balance. So before we move on to terminal velocity, I want to quickly shout out a few friends too. So our buddy Will. So Will had taken a bit of a break from 76, although he came back to try the ghoul thing. And he came back actually 2 seasons ago. And then he played and tried the ghoul thing. And then fishing, he got into it too. Will already caught all the fish. Will has caught all regional fish, all varieties, and the legendary fish in the first 2 weeks it was out. Plus, Rando Wasteland has done that too, but we knew he's been a fishing fool. He's out there, he's got all the fish, all the legendaries, all the things. Silio, I know, has all the regional fish, but hasn't gotten the legendaries yet. So he's got almost all of them. But yeah, that seems to be the last one for people, that they're getting those 3 special legendary fish, the Maw Begotten, the Wavy Willard, and the Organ Grinder. Those 3 are proving to be the toughest. People are getting axolotls before them usually.
Yikes.
It's a lot of fish.
There was some guy with some like awesome looking crazy fishing pole at my Toxic Valley. Ray, that's up north, just in case you didn't know. I have a camp up there, and I was hoping that fishing in that water would like make you get more glowing fish or something, but that's not the case.
No, only with the weather.
But anyway, it's I was fishing up there. Some other person who's on my team comes over, and they were only like level 80, 90, something, not like, level 10,000 like you see some of these people. And I was sitting there like reeling, casting in, reeling, casting in, reel, cast. I'm pulling in my like little guppies and bluegills, right? And like he's pulling in these like sturgeon that are like brilliantly blue and like all these crazy different colors. I don't even know what they're called because I haven't seen them yet. But it's just funny because like every time I'm like holding up my little guppy, he's like pulling out these like swordfish, basically these like glowing swordfish, and I'm like, What the fuck are you doing, man? Ugh.
I did stop by your fishing camp for a bit, actually. I was on with you on Xbox, and I remember coming by, and you built a great location right near the Dogwood Dyer farm, which that's not the best, but I like that little bridge
Oh
there and the creek.
yeah. I love that bridge. Yeah, that
Yeah,
broken bridge.
it's a good location to fish. So I fished at your camp for a while.
Yeah, not too bad. So, has anyone figured out how to fish in a shelter yet?
No, I haven't tried. I don't believe you can, but
Figure it out. You
but
can
it,
do it.
it occurred to me that the what is it? The summer camp shelter, the one with the pond in the middle. I wonder if you can fish in
You
that.
swim in
I
it?
haven't tried it. Yeah, if you can swim, you can fish.
There you go. Kaboom. You got it.
So I've never built that shelter, and so I think I need to try it, see if that works or not.
What's it called?
See, that's I don't remember. It's the summer camp one. So it might have been a Pioneer Scout shelter.
Have you purchased all of the different shelters?
Not
You
the
have all-
shelters. No, I'll be honest. I don't love shelters as much as building elsewhere in game, but most of my shelter builds are the first ones I did. I still got my basketball court, my utility. I've still
Just
got my studio in the lobby. I've still got,
basketball.
yeah. But yeah, it was the first shelter I did. I've still got the big old duck in my quarters. Like I haven't, you saw my duck sculpture before, didn't you, Andrew? Yeah, dumb old duck, pirate ducky. So, I mean, and so I've got a few of the shelters, but I've only got maybe 6 of them. I boycotted the atrium because I said 1,800 atoms was too much. Little did we know that pretty soon 1,800 atoms is going to become the standard for a lot of these bundles. At the time, I'm like,
yeah.
I'll do 1,000, I'll do 1,200, but I refuse on principle to buy the atrium, and I still haven't bought it because of that.
It'll go on sale eventually, right?
Yeah, but I just don't use them that much. But I've got the root cellar. That one's great. I've got the flatlands. I really like it. Like some of these shelters are really cool, but there's so many of them. The good thing about shelters now is there's one for everybody. You've got options.
Underwater with dripping vines and stuff. Yeah, that's me.
That's the big old root cellar. The root cellar one and
Paludarium.
Forbidden Dig Site is the other one I'm thinking of that's like that. Have you seen that shelter, Andrew? It's got vines and bones.
No, I don't think so. No, I haven't been down on one yet.
It's a good one.
I really only go to people's shelters if there's a daily that says visit the teammate shelter. Yeah, that's fun. Good deal. All right. Well, that completes my gameplay. So let's see what we got on the docket for the rest of the show this evening. We got some terminal velocity. Solio is continuing his adventures over there in New Vegas. So let's look up and see what he's getting into. Looks like we're going to visit Black Mountain. Remind me, was the Black Mountain site?
It's like a radio transmission tower.
Oh, the tower's on top of a mountain.
Towers on top of a mountain.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, you've got a rather colorful DJ that, definitely has a hatred of everybody, but
and battle cattle. Definitely not a fan of battle cattle.
Battle cattle. All right, beautiful. Let's check in with Solior.
Hello, fellow Wastelanders. Eric, aka Silior here, and I'm back with another Terminal Velocity, continuing my trek around the New Vegas area. This time we are going to be going through the terminals at the Black Mountain site. And you may remember, if you've played New Vegas, the Black Mountain radio broadcasts between the two Nightkin. And I apologize if my voice cracks a little bit here and there. I am still recovering from a cold that I dealt with within the last week when I'm recording this. But I had a little bit of time today, so I figured, what the hell, why don't I knock this out? So the first terminal that we are going to be looking at is in the prison building of Black Mountain. And specifically, we are going to be looking at the terminal of one Raul Tejada. And you may remember him. He is the ghoul companion that you can pick up that is voiced by Danny Trejo. He's a very dashing ghoul with a dapper mustache. So let's see what Raul has to say. This first entry says, "As if I don't have enough pointless things to do here, Tabitha wants me to start keeping a log of all the repairs I do. So here's my first log entry. I fixed up several old terminals that were left over in the intact building here. I wonder what she's planning to use them for. So, those of you who've taken Raul along on your journeys around the New Vegas area might remember that he is a handyman. He wears a jumpsuit and can actually repair your stuff for you if you ask him to. So, that's
That's
the
super
next
helpful,
entry
actually.
here says
Please.
apparently the mutants raided a caravan today. One of their rifles jammed. Took several minutes to fix. I also performed minor maintenance on the broadcasting tower outside. It's tempting to think that I could have just pulled the switch there and taken this accursed station off the air. No doubt she would have killed me soon afterward, but it might have been worth it just to see the look on her face. So, yeah, the Black Mountain radio station doesn't have a very long reach, so he did repair it, but you can only hear it when you're in the nearby like vicinity. All right, this next entry says mutant with the scar across his face, whom I've taken calling Cuddles, stopped in today to ask me to fix his car. I told him that's outside my expertise and seriously thought he was going to kill me. Man, having a working car and driving around the New Vegas area like Walter and Bunny from Truevald Escapades, that would have been nice. All right, this next entry says, tried to escape today. Tabitha had one of her men beat me senseless when they caught me. Now they lock me in the next room whenever I'm not working on something. Oh, and I fixed a toaster. Nice. All right, this next entry says, Cuddles came in about his car again. He even brought a container of gas and asked me if that would help. I tried to tell him that the gas was not the problem, but he got really angry and dragged me outside. Tabitha killed him herself before things got too ugly. At least I don't have to hear about his damn car anymore. All right, this next entry says Tabitha came in today and said she's concerned about my safety. Well, I mean, she did get rid of one of the threats, but okay. She insisted that I change the lock on my door to require a password using one of the other computers that I fixed. I'm really starting to regret ever fixing those. The password is 123456789. Like anyone who cares will ever read this. Yeah, we do use that, but that's basically like using the word password for the password. And that is it for Raul's terminal. Let's go to the broadcast building here. This first log is numbered 672, and it says, we've been picking up a lot of activity from China's satellite network. The tension is pretty high around here. Frank's been talking about securing a place in one of those vaults for himself and his family. And when he didn't show up to work yesterday, I think we all knew where he went. All right, this next log is numbered 674, and it says, oh my God, it's actually happening. We have readings across the board of launches happening everywhere. They must have thrown everything they had, and it looks like we didn't hold back either. Computer says we have 2 minutes until the first missile drops. So this must have been the Great War starting. The next log is numbered 675, and there's a lot of spelling typos, but I'm going to read this like it should be read. It says, I can barely type. The mountain shielded us from the worst, or the blasted, but there's two muskrats. And I no, I didn't pronounce that right, but that's fine. All right, and log 676, it says, wow, I can't believe the old machines still work. This place looks pretty defensible, and the radiation should keep a majority of the people away. Looks like we've found a home, at least for now. First things first, though, we've got to get those corpses out of here. Poor bastards. Marcus. And Marcus is the intelligent super mutant that you meet up in Jacobstown. He was also first seen in Fallout 2. All right, the next set of entries come from Tabitha's terminal. And the first entry says, the leader of this community, Marcus, said I should start keeping a journal to get my mind off of Rhonda. He also said I might find something interesting inside this stupid old building. What could possibly be interesting here? The only thing I think that works here is this old junky terminal. All right, this next entry is titled, It's a Radio Station. And it says, it's amazing. This place is a radio station. If we could get it repaired, we can broadcast music across the wastes, just like Rhonda and I used to listen to. Ah, Rhonda, How I wish you hadn't gone away. I asked all the mutants here to help, but none of them could do anything for you, which makes me doubt they can fix this place. I wonder why they brought in a handyman. All right, this next journal entry is titled On the Air. The radio station is fixed, and we've begun sending our message out into the desert. Marcus thinks I spend too much time in here, but what does a first gen know? Rhonda says they're just one step away from dum-dums, and I agree. All right, this next entry is titled The Elite. It says, there was a fight in the yard between some of us and the first gens. Marcus made a speech about how we need to work together, but why should we? We were the Master's favorites. We don't need their help. Rhonda says we'd be better off without them. All right, this next entry is titled Alone at Last. And it says, Marcus and the others left today. Finally, we have the whole place to ourselves. No more listening to lectures about what we can and can't say on the air. The airwaves will be free. Now, Rhonda and I can host our own radio show like we've been planning. I don't know why Marcus always refused to let us do it before. He always started getting really nervous whenever I told him what Rhonda thought about things. Rhonda says he was afraid she was too smart to control. Anyway, this is the start of a new era. The only downside is that most of the dum-dums chose to stay. All right, this next entry is titled Safe. It says, I finally got Raul to finish installing the security measures on the door. Now I can have all the privacy I want. Just in case I have a dum-dum moment, I've placed the spare key under the stairs behind my building. No one ever goes back there, so it should be safe from discovery. And this final entry is titled Lucky, and it says, Great news! A ghoul entered our camp today who has the experience fixing machines. He seems to really like it here, so I hope he can stay long enough to fix Rhonda. Weird. Rhonda just asked me why she would need fixing. She has a point. What was I thinking? And that does it for the terminal entries around Black Radio. So until next time, I will see everybody in the wasteland.
To participate in the Fallout Terminal Velocity Project, send your special letters, holotapes, and terminal entries to the Fallout feed at gmail.com.
All right. What's your favorite post there?
I mean, let's be honest. Almost all the ones from Tabitha. I really enjoy those, the dum-dums and all that. But anyone's listened to Black Mountain Radio, I'm sure everyone has, but it's fun. Solior explained a good bit of that as he went, so we don't really need to necessarily explain any of this. But Raul, of course, is Raul Tejada, the ghoul that you pick up as a possible companion, which he's some people's favorite companion in New Vegas. A lot of people really like him. And I've never gotten him early enough to adventure with him for long. So I've never used him as a primary companion. Have either of you?
Yeah, I had him on the last roundtable.
Awesome.
And he's definitely really good.
Yeah, I don't recall. So I probably not.
Yeah, I think he would add a lot. And I mean, it is Danny Trejo, that's super cool. And Raul, I mean, he's a mechanic who's being kept there captive to kind of repair things. And so you free him when you go in and you take care of stuff.
Do you have a favorite celebrity voiced video game character? Like, it's kind of funny that Danny Trejo's in New Vegas.
I mean, there are too many, but Matthew Perry as Benny in the same game as Classic.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
New Vegas has a lot of celebrity actor voices as opposed to voice actor voices.
Really? I had no idea.
Yep. They went into it hard. I mean, and maybe it's partly because they're out there developing in California and it's just a little bit different, but that's something they leaned into.
Oh, better access. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bethesda, Maryland probably doesn't have the upper crust of Hollywood walking around, right?
with in studios right there. But I mean, obviously, you can contract wherever. But a lot of the voice actors that we think of as classic Bethesda actors, they are in the greater Maryland, Washington, D.C. area around Bethesda. And that's why, while they have done other games, there are a number of voice actors in Bethesda games that haven't done many other big games. Whereas in the California studios, it's a lot more varied. And at this point with 76 and of course other games, they have broadened a bit. But early on, it was all local talent, which I kind of love about them.
Very cool. All right, you guys. Let's take a look at show notes. It looks like we might be up to our news portion. So let's get our can openers out. get the tasty spoons and see what kind of iguana bits we can dig into tonight.
Jessica, to the office, please. Jessica, to the office. Your iguana bits are ready. Please come pick them up. So I've just got a random smattering of news this week, just a smorgasbord of bits. Okay. The first one right there. This is a PSA. PSA from Bob's Iguanas. We're talking Iguana Bob in Fallout 1, and he says, eat iguanas, not axolotls. Okay. Right now, going around the wasteland, there is a movement called hashtag Snaxalotl. Axolotls are not snacks. No, just say no to Snaxalotl.
Are there any recipes?
It has become such a thing. So what's going on? What's happening there is John Rush, creative director on Fallout 76. He's out there fishing a lot, and he posted a vid or two of him clicking and eating his axolotls after he catches them. And other people started emulating him. And I've even saw our friend Rando actually saw him at his camp and gave him an axolotl to eat, handing out Snaxalotls in brown bag lunches for people to eat. So Bethesda did a poll. Bethesda did a poll on June 17th on Twitter saying a concerning amount of vault dwellers are now eating the axolotls. How do we feel about this? Put out a poll. They had 8,627 responses. 56% said no, must protect, but 44% hashtag Snaxalotl.
There's literally cannibalism in the game. People are worried about axolotls.
I mean, they're rare. They're cute. They've got curly tails. So yeah, that is the newest wave across the wasteland. But Iguana Bob says, eat an iguana. You can trust that iguana bits are pure iguana. Nothing weird there. Don't eat the Snaxalotls.
You can trust me.
You can trust Iguana Bob. I just thought Snaxalotl was hilarious.
Very cute.
I think axolotls are friends, not food, but everybody has their own opinion. Yeah. Right now in game, Fallout 76, we have a double score happening. So if you're not grinding the scoreboard too hard, like I have been, and a few of us, this is your weekend to go in. Double score from June 19th to June 23rd. And then starting Tuesday, July 1st, we're getting 2 helpings of Meat Week. So first 2 weeks of July, Meat Week all the way. Gonna be out there having a party with Graham again.
Get our summer cookout on.
Exactly. When I had a couple days off, that felt pretty summer. And now this heat, oh my God, very summer.
Yep.
So I am ready to cook.
Nothing like a heat wave to really set in the feeling of summer.
To make you want to hear Graham's luau music, have a little meat cook.
And stay inside and play video games.
Exactly. It's been long enough. I missed it. Yeah. Oh my God. They're saying, OMG, we can fish at Graham's. I wonder, do you think you can fish in Charlie's tub? Can we fish in Charlie's water trough? I need to try that.
No effing way.
I need to know. I need to find out. But yeah, that pond right below Graham's Meat Cook is a fantastic place to fish. It'll be great.
Is Graham going to start including fishy meat into his,
Oh my gosh, stinky meat, stringy meat, fishy meat.
Fishy meat. Yeah, there you go.
It could totally happen.
Have to see how many people you can get with a line in the same pond.
Oh, that'd be great.
You can get quite a few.
Put a lot of them.
I've been at a pond with a good, 10 people. When we did the fishing competition, we had at least that many. So probably everybody. Around that pond, it's pretty large.
Is there any area of action that you need that you can't stand so close to each other to and both be fishing?
Actually, you can technically overlap somebody and get your bobber right in their way of being able to see their own bobber. So you can get pretty close.
Still a little bitter.
I'm not bitter at all. Who would think that? Why would anybody ever think that?
Some people call it strategy, right, Solior?
Oh, yes. Competitive, aka cheap. Maybe not cheating, but maybe a little cheap. Anywho, it was an accident. Next up on the list, Ray, you might have an opinion on this, but it's in the news. Nexus Mods is under new ownership. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, it's from all indications, the Dark One, who was the owner of the site previously, did some pretty heavy vetting and, spent a lot of time discussing, how things would move forward. And so the new ownership is very clear that they intend on keeping things as close to status quo as they can.
Right.
They share the same vision, they want the same things. And so, at this point, there's no reason to think that anything will change.
It's just
in
him
that
stepping
process.
away and someone new coming in to actually own it, because it certainly has become a business. I know he posted a big old letter up on the Nexus mods, and I won't read the whole thing, but it starts out. I started this project back in 2001 in my bedroom with a 56K modem and excitement for the upcoming release of Morrowind, and no grand ambitions or intentions. But of course, it's become a whole thing since then. He talks in the letter about how it's become his life, and after 20 years, he's tired. That's really what it reads. I'm very tired, but I had to find the right person. And so the new owner, I don't know how to pronounce this. I believe it looks like Foldenho, Foledinho.
I don't know. I heard it pronounced, but I don't remember what it was.
So Foldenho's taken over, and he posted saying, mods will always remain free, and ownership of the mods will continue to belong to the creators who create them. But as for monetization, he did have this to say, quote, monetization is hard, and Nexus Mods is a complex platform. What matters most is continuing to support mod authors, delight users, and keep the lights on. We're not changing the core model. No aggressive monetization, no paid mods. If anything, we're aiming for fewer ads, not more. We'll take a community-first listening approach, and we won't compromise on what's made Nexus Mods special. So that leads me to believe that he's not putting new methods of monetization off the table. I imagine there's going to be some kind of membership opportunities, perhaps, or ways that you can decorate your profile, the kind of things that Discord and other places add. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, they have premium membership that gets you faster downloads and all that kind of stuff.
So like that, probably. Going to continue that.
I mean,
maybe.
they'll keep that. And I mean, really, even that is not any different than what Nexus was doing, because they've been, slowly experimenting with different kinds of monetization tech.
Did they play with paid mods for a little bit? The only big controversy
there's a way that you can donate money directly to the mod authors now
through the site, as opposed to just Ko-Fi and stuff.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I mean, I was going to say they've had, a few controversies when they made the change to policy 2-3 years ago, where you couldn't remove old versions of mods because of the fact they were create the collections, and which we found collections to actually be really cool and work well. But it changed the way people felt about their ownership of the mods when Nexus said, if you post here, you can't remove old versions of the mod after a certain point. Stuff like that caused some controversy. There have been a few over the years, but generally, I mean, it is the source for mods. It's a great site, and so new ownership, it does sound like it's not going to change that much, but I do think people should be aware it's happening. Quick note here, I've got the union corner of the bits. Let's talk unions. No, we have two stories. We have two stories that are union related, so we're calling it Union Corner. First off, the ZeniMax union. Y'all might remember a while back in Quebec, some Quebec workers formed a union, and they started the One Bethesda Union. And then it grew, and the US signed on, and all of this came together, and they approved the union, so it was formed. However, after being formed and the union is acknowledged by the company, in this case Microsoft, they still need to ratify a contract. Well, a contract has been ratified with the Bethesda union. This is over 300 QA workers. That's who the union's representing, is specifically QA workers. So yeah, that actually happened, which it doesn't necessarily protect from. It's a complicated issue, of course, as far as what the union will do for them. But the fact that they've not only been formed and acknowledged, but they have a ratified contract does give protections and possibly other benefits in the future. So good on them. And hopefully it signifies some parts of the industry settling down a little bit from all the layoffs we've been seeing. The other thing that affects us more directly is the voice actor strike is over. So in the US, there's been a voice actor strike happening for almost a year now. It started late last summer because previously SAG-AFTRA had a general actor strike, and that had been resolved, but voice actors and digital medium for video games was not ever fully successfully resolved with AI protections and stuff that they wanted. So that went, and that second part of the strike, after the original actor strike finished, that started late last summer. And so that's why a lot of voice actors have not been doing new lines for games. We have some games out there, none of the Bethesda games, but some games where people have actually been replaced, temporarily replaced, or there's been content added without voice lines because of that. And there's actually some speculation that one reason that the Starfield DLC wasn't announced officially is because the voice actor strike was still ongoing. And a lot of actors, but we got Sarah Morgan from Starfield is actually in recording lines again. We know that. She talked about, I'm so happy to say I'm recording lines. Even voice actors who worked on things like the Shattered Space expansion, they couldn't ever come out and say, hey, listen to me in the Shattered Space expansion and do publicity for it. Because part of the strike, the voice actors can't go out and do publicity for work they've done until a contract is reached. So a lot of voice actors now out there doing publicity for games they've been in, announcing roles that they had done, recorded prior, and doing catch-up work on that. Did we mention last week that it was the Fallout Shelter 10-year anniversary? I think we did, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. There was another article on it where they mentioned over 230 million players playing Fallout Shelter and some other stuff about that.
Playing? Currently? No way.
No, but total. Over 230 million people have played Fallout Shelter.
Billions and billions served.
Billions and billions, exactly. That's what we're talking about. Yeah, so much of it. In the Atomic Shop this week, Bethesda, one thing they have definitely done with 76 is make it a beautiful, beautiful cash cow. A cash Brahmin, if you will. Because there's been a new bundle almost every week lately. Doesn't it feel that way?
Mo.
Vuvuzela, Mutant How, or Cash Brahmin?
Cash Brahmin. There you go.
Cash Brahmin. Well, this week they have the Weather Control Station Fireworks Bundle. You've seen misty weather. You've seen rainy weather. You've seen nuke weather. But have you seen firework weather?
Firework weather.
You can have it
That's
now.
Hilarious.
In the Patriotic Bash
How
Bundle.
does that affect the fish? What are the fish going to do in reaction to the fire? Because my dogs, they hate fireworks.
It works great for dynamite fishing. You know, if you're out there fishing with dynamite, blast fishing.
Oh, yeah. You're chucking grenades in the water. There you go.
Doesn't actually work, y'all. But with the firework, the best way to actually be able to see the fireworks effect is if you're building up on, like in the Savage Divide, or on a high location. So if you're building on a location with a large view or on a mountaintop, you can see a lot of the sky and air. You can see them in the distance, but they're small fireworks in the distance. They're not like big up close, like right overhead.
What about in a super dark place like the Mire or something? You probably couldn't see them through the canopy, I guess.
That would be the thing. They'd be behind the canopy for the most part. Yeah. It's a new bundle, but beyond the fireworks, it's got a America theme, Americana Nuka-Cola Mystery Machine, a patriotic popcorn machine, patriotic paint for the grenade launcher, because if you're going to launch a grenade, do it for America. Stars and stripes, camping canopies, a patriotic bottle and cappy. It's basically all the things we already have, but reskinned with stars and stripes. Although I got to say, the bottle and cappy are pretty good looking. They've got a suit, like nice little tuxedo, red bow tie.
Ooh, fancy.
Uncle Sam. That and the birthday bash bundle is back in the shop too. So you might remember for the 5th birthday for Fallout 76, we got the cool birthday outfit and some birthday stuff. We got the birthday cake, suit, all that. That's back in the shop too for America's birthday. So pick it up. Honestly, in the world of Mountain Dew and Mountain Don't cake, the birthday cake is way more tasty than that slime cake. Ew. But that's about wraps it up for the Atom Shop. That's the only really new stuff we have.
Well, that sounds pretty good to me. I bet you we'll have something new right around the corner, 4th of July. They usually like to sneak other stuff in. So.
Totally. Well, we'll have Meat Week, and yeah, there'll be more stuff. We'll get our Stars and Striped dress back. I love that one.
It's a good one. It's good one. All right. Well, it does look like we have a couple of shouts that we have gathered on our way out the door here. Jess, who do we have for shouts tonight?
Oh, sure. Well, first off, I want to give a quick shout out to our friend Randy, our buddy Randy, who listens sometimes. He's in the hospital again, so send him some good thoughts. Hopefully doing well, but he let me know shortly before the show and just wanted to let people know. So, Randy, we're thinking of you. Hope you're doing okay.
Damn, Randy, get out of there.
And then I'll shout out to Juicehead's video. So, this title is probably all over YouTube right now. What's happening with Elder Scrolls 6? Obviously, very general title. But Juicehead actually did a really good video on it earlier this week. It's a 30-minute video. where he's getting into talking about some of the new indications about what's happening with Elder Scrolls 6 and indications of what the timeline might be. One reason I really like this video is that he's taking the point of view that I have as well, where I think people are thinking it's too far away. I really do think they're aiming for 2027 for Elder Scrolls 6. It could be 27, it could be 28. I'm not saying it's going to be soon, but people constantly say, oh, they're 5 to 7 years between games now. They take forever between games. But in reality, they haven't been. We had to slow down for the pandemic and Creation Engine 2, but they're still on general track. And he goes through a number of different proofs in this video. But one of the ones he mentions that Todd talked about how after something goes into full production, it gets a couple years of full production, then about a year of polish. And if it went into full production after they launched Starfield and then a year of polish, that puts it about 3 to 4 years after Starfield. And so don't be surprised if we get it sooner than you think. So if you're curious about that, if you have your own thoughts, if you want to get information, it's a really good video.
Super sweet.
Yeah, so that makes Fallout 5 32.
Yeah, realistically, yeah. There was a time when I thought we could get Elder Scrolls 6 in 2027 and Fallout 5 in 2030. But no, I mean, most likely. I'll always be the optimist on it.
7 years still? God.
Yep. Well, feel for those Elder Scroll peeps. By 2027, if it does come out then, that's still 16 years after Skyrim. It's a long time. But really, Bethesda has been pretty consistent. If their games take longer now, they've only added about a year more in between. Anyway, good video. Check it out.
All right. So what's happening with Elder Scrolls 6? So what's happening with Fallout 5? Gonna cancel the show after that, right, Ray? So, Jesus, only 7 more years we have to do this thing?
Keep vamping. Keep vamping, y'all.
Get to, not have to.
Yes, we have the pleasure of enduring.
Well,
oh boy.
Will Fallout 76 last that long? Like, we expected to get 10 years out of 76, 2018 to 2028 or so. Are they going to keep doing new content for 76 even after that? I think it'll start to wind down at that point.
Well, at what threshold will an online game company, they certainly won't like start losing money and keep the servers up, you know what I mean? Like, there has to be some sort of threshold, and when it falls under that, then
if the player base declines to a certain point, or they start losing money on it, of course. But right now it's that cash Brahmin, like I said. And I played the clip last week teasing the biggest update ever for Fallout 76 since launch, coming this winter.
Yep, they're gonna try. Gosh darn it. Alrighty. Did you guys have any other topics you'd like to discuss on the show this evening?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, in that case, you can find Ray and his projects, which are BBC ISSS, The Butcher Baker Candle Maker in Space, a No Man's Sky podcast. Ray, thank you so much for hopping on tonight.
Good times.
Jess can be found at Sleep is 4T for all of her many projects. And be sure to keep your eye out for the live play going on this weekend. Jess, thank you so much for hopping on.
Thank you.
I now realize that announcement is going to be a week
No,
late.
by the time it comes out, we'll be back on track. We'll probably take a week off. We catch up, and then I'll be like, watch the YouTube cut just out. Perfect.
Let's do it. Yep, that'll be great. All right. So I'd like to thank everyone for downloading this edition of the Fallout feed. And we will see you in the wasteland.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Fallout Feed Roundtable. If you are interested in doing a play-along character with us, the show can be contacted by emailing falloutroundtable@gmail.com. For the roundtable schedule, our Amazon link, and all other show information, please head on over to asapodcasting.com, where you will find the Fallout feed, a Skyrimatic podcast, our YouTube channel, the Chatterbox, as well as other content. Once again, thank you for downloading, and we'll see you in the wasteland.